Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Now with today's main headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi says 10-day mourning periods of Muharram and Muhsiniyya are divine symbols according to common practice. Germany allows Islamic religion classes in state schools. UN Food Agency cuts rations to 2 million Afghans as funds dry up. Indian university police attack and abuse Muslim and female students. This is Hussein Jawad, and you're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3 in London. The daily scholarly meeting of Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Husseini Shirazi was held on Wednesday, the 4th of Rabi' al-Awwal. In this session, like the previous meetings, the manager answered the questions of the attendees about various jurisprudential issues. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi discussed the reasons for performing some divine rituals such as mourning during the first 10 days of Muharram, as well as the 10-day period of Muhsiniyya. Let's watch the statement of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi together.
ما هستیم کلمه شعائر چون خب برای موسی بن جعفر علیه السلام 10 بگیرن چه خصوصیتی داره وقتی که برای حضرت محسن که تو کامل زیارت ببینید روایات یه چیزی داره برای حضرت محسن که هیچ جای روایات نداره. برای حضرت محسن خدای عزوجل اینقدر تجلیل قرار داده شده. قبل از حضرت محسن هزارها سال چقدر ظلم تو دنیا شده. تو روایت داره تو کامل زیارت ببینید روز قیامت که میشه اول ظلمی که خدای عزوجل رسیدگی بهش میکنه قصه حضرت محسنه. اول ظلم خدای قبل حضرت محسن هزارها سال میلیونها ظلم شده. اونا رو عقب میندازه. اونا اول معلوم شه اهمیت داره به نظر خدا. وقت چه اشکال داره؟ میشه شعائر.
And now in Germany, the Ministry of Education of the northwestern German state of Lower Saxony has announced the teaching of Islamic religion in the 75 state schools 10 years after it was adopted as a main subject of study. According to the ministry, the inclusion of this subject in schools requires the presence of a class of students interested in studying this subject, consisting of at least 12 Muslim students. So several classrooms or neighboring schools are usually merged with each other. At the beginning of the 2013-2014 school year, the subject of Islam was introduced in primary schools in Lower Saxony, and a year later it was gradually taught in secondary schools as well, starting from the 5th grade, according to the German website Focus. The study of Islam is the most common in state schools after the subject of Christian religion, as about 3,380 students were enrolled in the academic year 2022 to 2023, studying Islam by 52 teachers, leaving this number much less than the subject of Christian religion, which is more taught in the state by more than 9,000 Protestant Christian teachers and 4,000 Catholic teachers. The Ministry of Culture of Lower Saxony emphasizes that teaching of the Islamic religion offers Muslim students informal education, the opportunity to reflect on their religion within the context of life in a Western society, which is of a Christian nature, and the goal is to develop the ability to evaluate religious rulings. According to the ministry, the educational programs are prepared by specially qualified and university teachers, and the state receives advice from the Advisory Council in this context, and all teachers who offer Islamic classes are also Muslims, like their colleagues who offer classes of other religions. It is reported that between 5 to 6 million Muslims currently live in Germany, and this makes up approximately 5.5% of the total population of about 82 million people. The UN World Food Programme, WFP, had to cut rations to another 2 million Afghans this month and is warning of a catastrophic winter if funding runs out with little food for remote communities in place, the agency's country director said. The cut in rations comes amidst growing alarm over shrinking aid for Afghanistan, where a UN humanitarian response plan is only about a quarter funded. The WFP has warned that if no funding comes through, 90% of remote areas in need will be cut off. Without food and even inaccessible locations, people will get no supplies during the harsh weather. About 3/4 of Afghanistan's people are in need of humanitarian aid as their country emerges from decades of conflict under an internationally isolated Taliban administration that took over as US-backed foreign forces withdrew in 2021. It should be mentioned that Misbah al-Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development, a cultural charity organization affiliated with Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi, has run several humanitarian projects in disadvantaged regions of Afghanistan, including provision of food, operating water wells, and distribution of much-needed coal for keeping warm. Let's remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi says 10-day mourning periods of Muharram and Muhsiniyah are divine symbols according to common practice. Germany allows Islamic religion classes in state schools. UN Food Agency cuts rations to 2 million Afghans as funds dry up. Also tonight, 5 medieval mosques added to UNESCO World Heritage List. A group of Muslim female students at Desh Banghat University in Punjab faced a distressing incident on a Thursday afternoon as they engaged in a protest that had been ongoing for approximately 3 weeks. The protest was organized after the university had unlawfully transferred their admissions to another nursing college that lacked recognition from the Indian Nursing Council, INC. Social media platforms circulated pictures and videos of Muslim female students' abayas were torn, some students were bruised, and even the police, as protesters asserted, used excessive force. As a result, 10 female students had to seek medical attention. The assault drew a widespread condemnation, and in response to the incident, the students, mostly from Jammu and Kashmir, lodged 15 complaints at the nearest police station. The situation prompted the university's closure pending further instructions and was handed over to the police and administrative authorities for resolution. And now we continue with some short news. The British ambassador to Iraq, Stephen Hitchin, said on Tuesday evening during his visit to the holy city of Karbala and his meeting with the governor Nasif al-Khattabi, Karbala is a unique and exceptional city. My visit to Karbala carries the respect and appreciation of the British government and people to the holy shrines, the Iraqi government and the local government, Hitchin said in a statement followed by Shia Waves agency. He pointed out that the Holy Karbala has achieved great success in organizing the Arba'in, which saw millions of visitors, including visitors from Britain, adding that we have seen a great and clear development in the province. For his part, the governor of Karbala said the holy city of Karbala has begun to take its role in various fields, and it is a city of humanity for all communities because it derives its humanity from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. At least 30 refugees have died of hunger and malnutrition in Ethiopia's Gambela region, said Ethiopian Human Rights Commission EHRC on Wednesday. calling for the immediate resumption of nutritionally adequate food assistance to all refugee communities. Close to 400,000 refugees were given shelter in the region as the end of August, and food aid was halted since May in parts of Gambela's refugee camps, while other camps have also not received new rounds of food assistance since June this year. EHRC notes in its statement that the refugees died from hunger and malnutrition, as well as attacks as they left their camps in search of food. The lower house of Switzerland's parliament voted on Wednesday to give final legislative passage to a ban on face coverings such as the burqas worn by some Muslim women, the Swiss SRF said. The National Council voted 151 to 29 for the legislation, which was already approved by the upper house. It was pushed through by the right-wing Popular Swiss People's Party. The move follows a nationwide referendum 2 years ago in which Swiss voters narrowly approved forbidding niqabs, which leave slits for the eyes, and burqas, as well as ski masks and bandanas that are worn by some protesters. The official SRF said that violators of the law could face a fine of up to 1,000 francs, which is around $1,114, as per the new federal law, which replaced the local laws in 15 cantons which ban head coverings. It added that there are exceptions to the law, which include religious occasions, traditions of indigenous people, wearing the hijab for health or climate reasons. A recently published report by the United Nations has registered 1,600 cases of human rights violations in Taliban detention centers. According to the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, these human rights violations were recorded in 29 provinces from January 1st, 2022 to June the 31st, 2023. UNAMA says that nearly 50% of these violations include torture and other cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment or punishment. These UN Special Political Mission points out that the Taliban tortured the prisoners by using electric shocks, suffocation, forced drinking of water, and severe beatings in order to obtain confessions or other information. A deadly tornado hits the eastern city of Sichuan, China. The tornado also resulted in the loss of 5 lives and injured 4 others, leaving families and communities in mourning. The tornado hit the city on Tuesday afternoon, being the latest in a series of extreme weather events to hit the country. I was at the door and witnessed the wind, solar energy devices and trees flying in the air, one user wrote on the popular social media platform Weibo. State media said more than 5,500 people had been affected by the tornado and 1,800 homes were damaged or destroyed. UNESCO World Heritage Committee registered 5 mosques dating to the medieval era in Turkey as World Heritage Sites during its 45th session, which was held in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. These wooden mosques are located in Anatolian cities of Konya, Eskhisar, Kastamonu, and Ankara, after the ancient city of Gordian was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO on September 18th. Konya's Beyhisar Mosque, Eskhisar's Mosque, Kastamu Mosque, Ankara's Mosque, and another mosque are now on the UNESCO World Heritage List too. We registered our series of cultural assets on the UNESCO World Heritage List for the first time, after Gordian, the wooden pillar and beams mosque of Anatolia, which dated back to the Middle Ages, became a World Heritage Site. We increased the number of cultural assets on the list to 21, said Turkey's Culture and Tourism Mehmet Nuri Ersoy. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has said in his opening remarks to the Climate Ambition Summit at the United Nations headquarters in New York that humanity has opened the gates to hell. Horrendous heat is having horrendous effects. Guterres outlined a program he calls the Acceleration Agenda to close the gap between what is currently happening to address climate change and what he believes needs to happen, including an end to fossil fuel subsidies around the globe, which topped $7 trillion in 2022, according to the International Monetary Fund. According to scientists, burning fossil fuels release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which is a key driver in climate change. We must make up the time lost to foot dragging, arm twisting, and the naked greed of entrenched interests raking in billions from fossil fuels, Guterres said. Globally, there has been an unprecedented amount of investment in clean energy sources, and that is encouraging, but we are decades behind. Calling on development nations to reach net zero emissions as close as possible to 2040, and for emerging economies 2050. The Secretary General concluded his speech by saying that the future is not fixed. He said, "It is for leaders like you to write. We can still limit the rise in global temperature to 1.5 degrees. We can still build a world of clear air, green jobs, and affordable clean power for all." We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our dear viewers of today's main headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi says 10-day mourning periods of Muharram and Muhsiniyah are divine symbols according to the common practice. Germany allows Islamic religion classes in state schools. UN Food Agency cuts rations to 2 million Afghans as funds dry up. Indian university police attack and abuse Muslim female students. 5 medieval mosques added to UNESCO World Heritage List. UN chief calls on World to stop burning coal to reach zero emissions. You can view the latest news on our Shia Waves website, and you can see news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you very much for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.